Elon tests positive and negative for COVID-19. Model 3 looks to be getting a bigger battery pack, and Giga Shanghai is killing it in production. This is Tesla Tidbits episode number 634, recorded for November 16th, 2020. This show is brought to you by my supporter, Brad. Brad wants to encourage all of you to consider joining him as a supporter of Tesla Tidbits on patreon.com for as little as $1 a month. Let's join together to keep the Tesla Tidbits coming. We start this week with some news from Elon himself related to his health. As we all know, Elon's had a controversial take on COVID-19 from the jump, complicated by the impact it had on Tesla in Q2 this year. On Thursday, Elon announced in the wee hours of the morning that in a matter of one day, he tested both positive and negative for COVID-19 twice. His actual tweet was as follows, quote, "Something extremely bogus is going on. Was tested for COVID 4 times today. 2 tests came back negative, 2 came back positive. Same machine, same test, same nurse. Rapid antigen test from BD," end quote. When later pressed about his symptoms by @JanityEve, he responded simply, quote, "Symptoms of a typical cold. Nothing unusual so far," end quote. I bring you this story not because I'm inviting any debate with regard to COVID-19, but rather because this is obviously a big deal for Tesla. Elon is the straw that stirs the drink, and without him, I don't personally believe we have the Tesla we have today or into the future. I'll clearly keep everyone apprised of any issues with his health that are made public, as we certainly want to see a speedy recovery for our favorite CEO. Item number 2 on the docket today is news that the Model 3 looks to now have a newer battery pack with a bump in size on the long-range model, courtesy of Teslarati. Thanks to a German owner posting to tff-forum.de, we find that the long-range model of what many are referring to as the refresh version of Model 3 seems to be packing an upgraded 82 kilowatt-hour battery. How is this certain, you may ask? Well, that's a good question, because I was wondering the same. For those of us that aren't living in Europe, European customers get paperwork about their vehicles before it arrives, helping to smooth the registration process and speed up the overall experience. Holger S., the user posting to the forum, was surprised to see the change, as Redditors from the region have previously reported the paperwork to show a 79 kilowatt-hour battery. This is in line with the announcement by Panasonic earlier in the year that reported a 5% increase in energy density in its existing cells. This means the car didn't need any re-engineering to support the new capacity. It's simply a chemistry change that boosted capacity, which made the improvement easy to implement and deliver. The next step, using the announced 4680 cells, will take much more effort and engineering, as the size is not only significantly larger, but the car will need to be built to make the pack part of the car's structure as well, as was announced during Battery and Investor Day. While this is some time off, look out, as Model 3 and Model Y both will likely become 400-plus mile vehicles on that day. Our final news item of the day is also from Teslarati, and it seems that Giga Shanghai is showing everyone how a launch ramp is done. Now let's be clear, there were a lot of lessons learned from watching Fremont go through it, not only with Model 3 but Model Y as well, but like a duck to water, Giga Shanghai has nailed the Model 3 launch in China. According to Troy Teslike on Twitter, production in October alone was 22,929 vehicles, according to data from the Chinese Passenger Car Association. This extrapolates to a roughly 275,000 vehicle per year run rate. Bearing in mind that the plant was planned to manufacture 300,000 Model 3s in 2021 and an additional 250,000 Model Ys, we see that essentially Model 3 ramp is complete in China before it even enters the year it wished to reach that goal. With that goal already attained, this allows the plant to concentrate solely on bringing the Model Y ramp to the same efficiency at high speed to meet the total 550,000 vehicle per year run rate that the plant was built to produce. It would seem that very soon, you won't be able to drive anywhere in China without being able to spot a Tesla. Lastly today, some show housekeeping that I've needed to do for some time. I always want to shoot straight with fans and supporters on what's going on when a change needs to be made, and I feel that it is time to make another change to the show. Longtime fans will know that this show used to be published every weekday, but following Model 3 launch, I scaled back to every other weekday as news became a touch more scarce. As you're all certainly aware, my release schedule has been far from consistent lately due to many factors, but frankly, my family situation has changed. The unexpected addition of our third child has created a huge challenge in time management, and time I once had to crank out a show before midnight with ease following sending my two oldest children to bed between 8 and 8:30 has disappeared, with my daughter typically going down between 9:30 and 10:30. Late nights writing, producing, recording, and editing the show well into 1, 2, and even 3 a.m. has not been good for my health or my family relationships in the mornings. As I've always prided myself on being one of the, if not the, original Daily Tesla Show, it pains me to announce that beginning in December, the show will shift to a weekly format. This allows me to fulfill family commitments, not be a raging jerk in the morning running on very little sleep, and still bring the distilled Tesla news to you folks as I always have, just on a less frequent basis. As always, the hallmark of this show is tight, relevant news. While the target mark of the show today is 5 minutes, give or take a minute, the new weekly target will be 10 minutes, give or take a minute. The obvious exception will be special events such as product launches and earnings calls, which will be produced as they always have. I'm trying to decide if these will be one-off episodes and there will still be a normal weekly show as planned, or if that will just be the show. I'm leaning toward the former, as that way the rest of the news from the week won't be buried by the special event. I also always pride myself on getting those special events out, usually the quickest of the shows out there along with audio clips, and that one I don't believe I want to let go. For super patrons, you'll pick up a new perk. In addition to the video version of the show will be published early for you. The new production and publishing schedule will see the new show written and produced Friday night and released immediately following completion. This would be either Friday night or Saturday morning, depending on circumstances. Also, a new $5 Patreon tier will be created that will also permit these folks the early access, though not the uncut video version of the show. The remainder of the general public will see the show release at 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Sunday. This is not a decision I take lightly, as I know many enjoy and support the show. In a day where there's a lot of choices for Tesla news out there, I'm grateful that many of you choose to listen here, and I sincerely hope that continues in the new era of the show. That will do it for today's show. Here is your last reminder about Extra Life this year. It's the last one because we had an amazing donor push the team well over the goal, up to over $2,500 for this year. Bravo, everybody that helped out. This is just flabbergasting how well we did this year. I will definitely have to raise the target next year, as we started off this year at 1,500 and I raised it to 2,000 kind of mid-flight because I personally got pushed over my goal so quickly. But yeah, we still do have until the end of the year to contribute. So despite game day being over, please, if you're still out there and want to help out sick kids, again, even though we're well over our goal, we certainly will still accept those contributions. It is not too late. If you'd like to contribute, please head over to bit.ly/tt-el2020. That's bit.ly/tt-el2020, where the TT and EL are all capitals, and make your contribution. Thanks to everyone that donated this year. This year has been a smashing success, our best year ever. And I thank you all so much for helping out. And as usual, I need to thank all my patrons supporting the show at patreon.com/Tesla Tidbits. And as always, a special shout out to the super patrons supporting the show at the $10 plus level. They are Ryan Scarborough, Lee Sweet, William Henry Crew III, Dorian Steve Guberman, Ralph and Cheryl Waterhouse, Todd Sullivan, Mitch Long, Zortek LED Canada, Morvan Og, Raymond and Deborah Malkowitz, T Sportline, Vicky Kirk, Ricky Johnston, Nathan Garza, Ed Patterman, and Sunil Joseph. If you have feedback for me, the best way to be heard is to tweet at Tesla Tidbits and use the hashtag AskTeslaTidbits if you'd like your question to be considered for the show. Until next time, keep it charged and hit the road.